Very happy to have you here at the Bill Monroe Museum. We opened in April of 2018, and it was a long time coming, but it's finally here, and we're receiving guests from all over. We're just really glad you're here. The museum was a long time coming, and it was pictured actually when they restored the home place back in 2001. They bought all of Bill's last memorabilia, and it was stored for a while, but when the museum was finally built, it is about 99% of all of Bill's memorabilia and his awards and things that people used to love to give him too. Now James, his son, does like the museum, and he has brought some items to be in the museum too that were his parents and some of his mother's things. Many of our things are of gifts from Bill. We have the highlight of his last car that he drove and was chauffeured up into in 1996, right before his passing actually. So one of our highlights are the mandolins that are behind me, because those were made with wood from the home place. So they have some of that extra little green in them that was made from the coloring of the home place when it was restored. One thing that the guests really like is the heritage tree on the back wall. They like to look at, of course, Bill was the youngest of 6 children, and they like to see how that heritage went out. One interesting fact that I find is that with all of those children, only Bill and Speed had grandchildren for his mom and dad. And everybody is surprised when they come in about how laid back Bill really was. When they walk through the museum and they see the furniture that he had, it's like, well, we expected, I don't know if they expected chrome and diamonds or what, but Bill remained very, very true to his roots, and that's what's really depicted in the museum. One of the things that people like to see or they ask about when they come to the museum is, don't you have any pictures of Bill as a young boy or growing up here in Rosine? But you have to remember, Bill was just a child growing up here. When he moved into the home place, he was 7 years old, and he left the home place and lived with Uncle Penn in his cabin for about a year after his parents died. He left here when he was age 17, and back then they didn't take pictures like they take now. Plus, he wasn't famous when he left. So it just makes it a little bit different that we catch his career later on. But the home place is especially an awesome place for people to visit. I'd like to call it it's almost the Memphis for bluegrass music. I've actually seen people kiss the ground when they get there. It's on many, many people's bucket lists, and they want to see the home place. So the restoring in 2001 just was an awesome effort by a company out of Nashville. They were able to preserve 70% of the natural wood. So when you're there, you can tell that the wood is a little altered in places and things, and the floors are new, but the chimneys and the fireplace are the original. So it gives you that real home feeling, and you know why Bill loved it and recorded so much about Jerusalem Ridge and his home place. When you visit the home place, you see some of the original artifacts that were purchased back in 2000 with the memorabilia, and then it is staged to look almost exactly like it looked when Bill was in there. His actual bedroom was a breezeway in the original plan, but Bill was only 7 when they moved in, so Melissa wanted him closer to her, so you'll have the girls' room, the parents' room, and then that breezeway area, which is Bill's tiny little bedroom, because at the age of 7, she wanted him up close to her. So, and there's the original artifacts of some of the stove that heated the boys' room. Melissa's ironing board is there. And I think that's kind of a special treat, because one of the things that Bill is known for is when he performed, they were always classy. They dressed good, they had the hats, they had the boots, and it might have been from all those hours that Melissa spent on that ironing board dressing her children when they were young. So Bill went to church at the Methodist Church, and that is also where they had his funeral when he came to Rosine to lay and rest. The church is basically, it has new pews, but otherwise it looks the same as it looked when Bill was there. And when they had the funeral there, it was standing room only in the yard, and many famous people came and visited, and James let the funeral go on for several hours. I know that I've heard stories where the funeral man asked, can we, how long do you want this to run? Should we shut it down? And James said, no, we will keep it going until every last person has had a time to say goodbye to my dad. So, and then they hand carried the casket from the church to the cemetery, and the processional went right down the street, and they hand carried Bill to the Rosine Cemetery. So when you visit the Rosine Cemetery, Bill's monument is obvious. It's a nice, big, perfect tribute to the man. There's some benches you can stay and visit with him for a while, and his monument was presented by James Monroe. But when you're there, you'll notice that all his family is buried around him. The only people that are not buried there are his wife, Carolyn, and his daughter, Melissa. They are in Nashville. But the rest of the family is all there. You'll see Birch, Harry, Speed. And then you need to walk straight across the cemetery, and in the front row is Uncle Pen. And Uncle Pen's monument was erected by Bill, and he lovingly inscripted all the words to Uncle Pen on it. So it's a good place to learn the words for that song, because you're going to hear it played at every Bluegrass festival. Uncle Pen's cabin is also here. So when Bill's parents died, first his mother passed away, and then his dad passed. So after they passed, Uncle Pen came to the home and lived for about a year with Bill, but he didn't like that. He wanted to go back to his cabin, so he and Bill moved back to Uncle Pen's cabin. James Monroe rebuilt the Uncle Pen's cabin. It's about 90% what it would have looked like, but it does have new lumber, and it has many artifacts of the Monroe family and of Bill's and Uncle Pen's in it. The amazing thing is it's on the original land, so it is high on the hill, and when you go to the back porch, you can see how the music would have carried down through the hill. And people that live in Rosine say, yes, you really could tell when Penn was on his porch playing his fiddle. So when you come to Rosine, you actually start learning all about bluegrass. You'll start with the home place, see where Bill was born. You'll go to the gravesite to see where he lays to rest. You'll come to the museum to see all his history and learn more about Bill. And then you'll go to Uncle Pen's cabin and visit there. And actually, Uncle Pen's cabin, James likes to say, I think that's where bluegrass was born, because Bill contributes his sense of rhythm to playing with Uncle Pen. And he and Penn would travel around in the wagon and play for barn dances, for weddings, and Bill started playing a lot when he started traveling with Penn and his group. So then to carry out the tradition, on Friday nights we have free bluegrass music at the Rosine Barn. And we're very proud of our barn. It started out small in a little store and grew till they finally opened the barn and had a place to play bluegrass music. In 2016, the barn was awarded one of the best 52 places to visit in the world by the New York Times, and we're pretty proud of that. And it does make a difference. You can see people from France, Germany, all over, because when they come over for a holiday, they have a month. And to come to the barn, if it's 200 miles away, we're going, because it's a famous place to visit, and it's always a good time. We have a county website, which is visitohiocountyky.com. Plus, all of our venues here that are open to visitors have Facebook pages. And everyone likes to post, and we encourage you to come and visit, take your picture and post those on your pages, and the word just gets out, because Rosine is the place in Ohio County is the home of bluegrass music.